on the screen in a minute, and then I'll give you time to write it down on your paper, what you think it is. And Joe will get you. Don't want Mom to miss the test, do we? Okay, so just doing something a little bit different on this Sunday morning. And so here's the first question. What is interesting is that, in case you can't read that, it says Noah has 3 sons. What were their names? I went on the internet and I was looking for something to do, and I come across this thing that said Bible test. That it gave a percentage of how many people couldn't answer most of the questions, and so I took it and got 100, and I can't figure out why most people couldn't answer the questions, but I guess that's the difference between me who reads the Bible and some people who don't, or something, I guess. All right, you ready? I put it from the oldest to the youngest, but you can have it in any order you wanted in. James and John were the sons of people still writing? Okay, Mrs. Heaton still writing. Got it now? All right. How about Zebedee? It doesn't matter how you spell it. Just
Sons of Thunder.
Brother, that was good. I appreciate that little humor this morning. That may be true, but that was kind of what they were called now. Yeah, the son of Boanerges. Okay, all right. David had how many brothers? Trick question. I do have a couple of trick questions in there, brother, so you'll catch them. Well, I call them trick questions. Somebody else might not. How many brothers? The only reason I would have probably ever got it right was I was doing reading one day and I thought I knew the answer, and I read across and I went, whoops. All right, we ready? He was the 8th and the youngest, obviously. All right. Noah was the name of one of Zelophehad's daughters. What do you think, brother? Don't have a clue. How are we doing? Remember, he had 6 daughters, and he had no sons, and so when it come time to split up the rights of the family, they couldn't give it to girls because only men are supposed to have it. So they married into the family to keep the property within the family. Interesting, you should read it. Who was the 3rd son of Jacob, or Israel? Who was the 3rd son? You know how many he had. Now you just got to tell me who the 3rd one was. I see smoke. All right, anybody still need time, or you got them? Levi, Reuben, Simeon, Levi, Judah. What was the strange oddity of the giants born in Gath? What was the strange oddity of the giants born in Gath? They were the sons and brothers of the giant David killed. And I did say that correctly. Who were they? What was the oddity? Anybody need time, or are we done? All right. They each had 6 fingers on each hand and 6 toes on each foot. Birth defects. Interfamily marriage.
I wonder if they were useful.
I don't know. They had a spare one in case somebody needed one, I guess. All right. This man refused to be his brother's keeper. No, that's not hard, is it? All right. Everybody ready? Okay. Cain. In my huh?
He was not able to be his brother's.
Yeah. Oh, Joel. Noah's ark landed in this range of mountains. We just talked about that in our geography last week. What range of mountains? All right. Ararat. How you doing so far? Okay, everybody looks happy. Steffi says no. What 2 animals did David speak of slaying? What 2 animals did David say he slew? I was going to ask you how did he slay the one, but I thought maybe that'd be too much. He explains in the Bible how he killed the one. So, anybody still need time? They got it. All right. A lion and a bear. I was going to put, how did he slay the lion? The Bible says he took him by the beard. I'm guessing he either twisted his neck or slung him in a circle. I ain't sure. I thought, you take a lion by the beard, you don't have a cat by the tail. Who caught a fish and found a coin in his mouth? Who caught a fish and found a coin in his mouth? Played the daily double and won. You doing all right, brother? Okay. 100. I got 100% so far. Okay. Well, I don't think somebody else does it either. Has boo energies. All right. Peter. Remember the Lord told him to go down and catch fish. The first fish he caught, bring it up and pay, get the coin out of his mouth and go pay their taxes. Wouldn't that be nice? If you could just go out and sit on the dock, cast in, pull out $20.
Poor fish would drown with as much money as it would need in his mouth.
Yeah, I know. You'd have to do something about waterproofing that money so he could get dollar bills. Rehoboam said he would chastise the people with what? His father had chastised them with whips. He said, I'll chastise you with. That's a little bit more thought processing there. Anybody need any more time? All right. Scorpions. You got that one? Okay, good. Who was Joseph's younger brother? Who was Joseph's younger brother? All right, is everybody done writing? All right. Benjamin. Remember, he was the youngest, but he was also his youngest brother, since he only had one brother. But he had some half-brothers. And some, well, anyways. Those family lineages sometimes can get messed up. Here's a hard one. How many books in the Old Testament? You know, I say that, I guess, funny like, that's an easy one. You'd be surprised probably how many churches today people don't know how many, and been going there for 30 years. All right, 39. That should have been your answer. Here's the thing, if they don't read it properly and they think about it, they'll put 66. Or if you say how many books in the New Testament, they'll put down 66, and I think you're talking about. That's how you flunk tests. How many Psalms are there? How many Psalms are there? When I wrote the question, I put in the answer, and the answer was wrong. See, I was thinking of how many verses in Psalm 119. After I put it in there, and I went, wait a minute, there's not that many Psalms. All right, how we doing? 150. Why did God create Eve? We want a biblical answer now. Okay, how we doing? All right, this should be the answer. Man needed a helpmeet. He saw it. He couldn't spend all the money on his own. Herodias' requested what part of John the Baptist's body? It really shouldn't be that difficult question. All right, we done, all right? His head, she wanted it on a platter, and that's what she got. Nice lady. Which hand did Ehud use in killing Eglon, king of Moab? Since you got a 50-50 chance of getting it. How we doing? All right. His left hand. He was a left-handed man. Benjamin had a whole crew of left-handed people who the Bible says could sling within a hair's breadth. Sling a stone. Not anybody you want to come up against. And, you know, people talk about crack shots today. Try that with a slingshot, I dare you. Light a match with a slingshot. All right, so this is a finished statement. Confidence in an unfaithful man is like a what? It's 4 words actually complete the statement. But if you don't have all 4 words, I wouldn't count it against you. But so confidence in an unfaithful man is like a what? All right. Are we ready? Foot out of joint. How many of you got it? Okay. All right. Well, that was a toughie. I realize that. Couldn't think what?
Broken tooth or foot out of joint.
Oh. Well, if you had, yeah. It's bad either way. 3 places frogs are mentioned. Exodus, Psalms, and where else? 3 places that frogs are mentioned. Exodus, Psalms, and where? Today the 15th? I don't know. All right. Revelation. You didn't have to have the chapter and verse, but if you had Revelation, it'd be enough. But remember the 3 frogs that come out of the mouth of the... That which has scales and fins is considered a what? Or is considered what, maybe I should say. That which has scales and fins. I might have wrote the answer wrong. I'll have to see in a minute here. I just realized I just realized my question. I don't know if I put the right answer myself. All right, anybody? You have to enjoy reading Leviticus to get all that. Clean, okay? So it was a clean animal or clean to eat. I couldn't remember if I put what I put there, but if you didn't have scales, like you shouldn't eat a whale. Just thought I'd pass it on to you in case you're, or a porpoise or a sea cow or a sucker. Exodus 12 is about what feast for the nation of Israel? What feast? Exodus 12. How we doing? Tony, how you doing?
About average.
Okay. The Passover, which Seth just got to do while he was in Israel. Oh, come on. Here we go. According to Isaiah 6, who did Isaiah see? According to Isaiah 6, who did Isaiah see when he had his vision? You don't have to have the whole statement, just the generalization will be fine. Have you ever taken, if you ever get a chance, it's fun to do. It grinds your gizzard, Dan, but take one of those tests that somebody's done with a new Bible. And you put your answer in there and it's like, whoa, where did they come up with that? First time I took one, I didn't realize it was one of them off brand, you know. And I realized how screwy you can get. The Lord, if that's what you had. All right. Daniel had 3 friends, Hananiah, Mishael, and I want their Hebrew names, not the Babylonian name. Hananiah, Mishael, and if you don't get it when you get it, you'll go, I knew that. Because you've read it in the first chapter of Daniel. Anybody need more time? Anybody need the answer? Huh? You're drawing a blank? That's not the answer. Yeah. There is a blank on the screen too. That's what okay. Mom got one in. We can chuck that down, Joe. Mom got one in. Yeah. Oh, she got it. She just remembered it. Yeah, I saw the lightning hit. All right, you think you got it, dear? Okay. Who did Jesus address about bread to feed the multitude? Who did he ask?
Specifically?
Yes, a person. Anybody need any more time? You didn't draw a blank on that one, did you, dear? All right, here we go. Philip. Remember in John 6. All right, so here's the question. All right, so let me ask this question. How many of you got them all right? Okay, how many of you got 28 of them or 27 of them right? Oh, 24?
25 count that one.
Okay. Well, what I did is I wrote out for 28, but I only put 24 in. Okay, so 24. So who got 24 of them?
I got one wrong.
You got one wrong, so you got 23? Okay. You missed 4? How many did you get, brother?
21.
Okay. All right, not bad. I didn't realize that was a spur of the moment, rack your brain, but I wanted to give you something a little bit different. Daily Proverbs, you know this is the proverb for the day. If you don't, that's okay. I want to read a few verses here and make some comments. Verse 1, a soft answer turneth away wrath, but grievous words stir up anger. That shouldn't be a hard verse to understand, because we've all been caught in the the answer program, and sometimes, have you ever said something, boy, what I'd like to told them? You know, trouble of it is that it doesn't solve a problem. It either enlarges one or makes one. So, oh, okay. Oh, I'm sorry. So a soft answer. What is is a soft answer mean that you can't speak back the truth? Or does a soft answer mean you're not shouting? What do you think a soft answer, what do you think that implies? That you go, well, I'd like to tell you the truth, but nah, that would probably upset you. Does a soft answer mean that you speak loudly, or does it mean that you return with a lowered voice and you still can give out the truth, but you're yelling at somebody saying, well, I told you? Anybody got a thought?
It's obviously the opposite of grievous words.
Okay.
I just think it's an answer with thought in regard to someone else's state of mind or opinion or feelings or something.
Okay, so do you think that in the process what he said is the opposite of grievous words? Do you think that sometimes that you have to take into consideration who you're talking to? Maybe out of respect you come back with nice words, soft words. You're not yelling at somebody.
Well, you can say you're stupid, or you can say, maybe you should have thought about the way you worded that, or, you know,
Yeah,
worked the way.
but I like stupid better. But you're right. You're right. So is a soft answer turneth away wrath, but grievous words stir up anger. So grievous words stir up anger might indicate that there wasn't any anger to start with. So the soft answer would have evaded the anger, where the grievous word, well, I'll tell you what I think about it. Anger then becomes the result of that. So I think whenever we talk with people, we have to take a lot of things into consideration. Maybe they didn't understand what you said. Maybe they didn't hear what you said. Maybe they don't know what you mean.
Be like you're being subtle in your effect of how you're talking.
Yeah. What did the Lord say about being wise as a,
Serpent.
and harmless as a? There's a lot to take into consideration when we reply to somebody. And I know all of us, my hand's up, all of us have been guilty of the grievous words. Because it's so easy to, as they would say, pop off. It's so easy to reply right back rather than think first. Engage your mind. Think about what you're about ready to say. Is it worth being said? Maybe sometimes it's not worth being said what you got to say. So he says, the tongue of the wise uses knowledge aright, but the mouth of the fools poureth out foolishness. So the tongue of the wise uses knowledge aright. Somebody tell me what you think.
You're not going to flaunt the things that you know.
Okay. You're not going to
Use your knowledge to be helpful.
use your knowledge to be helpful, not boastful, all right?
Be more ready to hear than to speak.
All right. So the knowledge that you have might be right, but is it valuable to the person you're giving it to? I think there's a lot to be said when it comes to people getting along with one another. The tongue of the wise uses knowledge aright. So if you know and you know how to use the knowledge, because he says in the opposite, but the fool's mouth poureth out foolishness. So he doesn't think before he talks. He talks, and then you go, well, I can be kind when I say this. Right now, our current president, I'm not sure he always has all of his faculties. And sometimes he pours out stuff which doesn't even make any sense. He had been better off to keep quiet. The eyes of the Lord are in every place, beholding the evil and the good. So the Lord doesn't miss anything. Is that what we learn here? No matter what goes on, the Lord sees it. We hide, do we not? We can hide and not literally be hid. We can hide behind any excuse. We can hide behind the wrong kind of a reason. We can hide behind, that's just the way it's always been in our family. If what it is in your family has always been that way, and it's not right, then maybe it's time for somebody in the family to change. A wholesome tongue is a tree of life. How does that match up, you think, with number 2, verse 2? And a breach, he said, therein is a breach in the spirit. But perverseness therein is a breach in the spirit. Do you realize how much the book of Proverbs talks about your mouth and your tongue? And that makes a lot of sense when you listen to the devotion that John read this morning. And if you read the devotion every day, you read all the other 2 devotions he gave on that. And it talks about your tongue and the bridle and the bit and all the stuff to keep that horse in check. And Solomon warns his son many times about his mouth. Be careful with his mouth. And I don't think there's anybody in this room that probably hasn't gotten in trouble with their mouth somewhere along the line, at least once. Probably more, but I'll give you credit for at least once. So a wholesome tongue is a tree of life, but perverseness therein is a breach in spirit. Then he says this, he said, a fool despises his father's instructions, but he that regardeth reproof is prudent. I should have listened. I should have listened. That's somebody regretting what somebody gave him instruction to do, and they did. I'm not doing that. I don't think there's anybody in here, myself included, that hasn't despised some instruction. I didn't get the chance very much. My dad died when I was 18, so I didn't get the chance very much to despise a lot of instruction, but I'm sure I would have. He said, in the house of the righteous is much treasure, but in the revenues of the wicked is trouble. So let's just bring this verse down to home here, and somebody tell me, in the house of the righteous is much treasure. What do you think he's saying here? What do you think's implied? They got several vaults in the house, a lot of money in it. What do you think he's implying here? Well, ask this question. In your house, do you have any riches? I mean, nothing that you could turn in and get money for, but do you have any riches? Now, some of us are grandparents, and we get the chance to having our grandkids in, and then our house has some riches in it. Before that, it was our kids, and that was our riches. So that's just one thing. I mean, we can just put the one thing there. If you have a family, those are your riches. Okay? And so he goes on to say, but the revenue of the wicked is trouble. Why? Because the wicked doesn't appreciate what revenue he has. You ever hear a mother say this? Man, I wish I'd never had that child. I've heard people say, this kid's been nothing but trouble since he was born. Is that how you see it, the child's trouble? Maybe that's why he doesn't ever do anything, because all you see is that he's trouble. Maybe he's trying to get attention. So the house of the righteous is much treasure. And there can be other things that are treasure in your house. They don't have to be physical things necessarily. Maybe the spirit of your house. Amen. There's a lot of things that can be of value in your house that don't necessarily mean they're nickels and dimes and pennies and quarters. As a matter of fact, I'll tell you the truth, I think sometimes the more money people have, the more trouble they get into. So those riches aren't always a blessing. They're more of a curse. The lips of the wise disperse knowledge. That takes us back up to verse 2, does it not? It's interesting when you read the Proverbs, sometimes if you take your time and go through there, you'll find out how many times in a chapter he makes a reference to something and then references it again, and then references it again, as though he's trying to get across the point. So he said, the lips of the wise disperse knowledge, but the heart of the foolish doth not so. So a wise person puts out information. Knowledge is information, is it not? I remember, and I didn't know this, Vivian Mellon, some of you might remember when she passed away, her son Ron gave this testimony of his mom. And it never thought on me when our kids were coming up, but he said everywhere around the house, Mom had 3x5 cards or other things posted, and this would be all the lakes in Florida, and this would be all the towns and somewhere. And she put these things around here, and the kids had to read those lists. When they grew up, I mean, they had knowledge of places and things that you wouldn't ordinarily have because Mom took the time to take that knowledge. As a teacher, she took that knowledge and spread it out among her family. And I thought, I was impressed. I was impressed. She was my 4-H teacher for flower collecting. That went well. I think I got a red ribbon. The way of the wicked, the sacrifice of the wicked is abomination to the Lord, but the prayer of the upright is his delight. So the sacrifice of the wicked is an abomination. Does sacrifice here simply mean he's bringing a lamb, putting it on the altar? Or could sacrifice mean that he's given up this and he's given up that, and so somebody can go to church or somebody can do this? And the Lord says, that sacrifice is an abomination. And if you know anything about abomination, there's one of those deals, if you come across that word, it'd be good to make you a list of all the things that are an abomination to God. You won't appreciate the list, but you at least know what it is. The way of the wicked is abomination to the Lord, but he loveth him that followeth after righteousness. So no matter what the world tells you, no matter what Mr. Osteen tells you, I call him a preacher. I don't call him a preacher, but he's a Mr. Osteen. And I'm sorry, he won't condemn anything. He'll just say that that's not his expertise. And I'm thinking, how can you call yourself a preacher, and how can you hold a Bible up and say this is our Bible when you don't even preach from it? You take subjects from it, love and kindness and all, and you preach those, but you don't preach the whole counsel. I don't even know if he knows what the whole counsel is. The way of the wicked is an abomination to the Lord, but he loveth him that followeth after righteousness. So when you get God's love, then do what's the right thing to do. Then he says this, correction is grievous unto him that forsaketh the way, and he that hateth reproof shall die. That's kind of a heavy verse. Correction is grievous unto him that forsaketh the way. Just for a personal example, have you ever done something that your dad told you not to do, and then he took you to the woodshed, and you didn't enjoy the whipping at all? But it's grievous to those that forsake the way. If you go out of what the Lord told you to do, then there's probably going to be a spanking coming. He said, hell and destruction are before the Lord, how much more than the hearts of children of men? And that's kind of a verse alone, if you will, please. Hell and destruction are before the Lord. The Lord sees everything, does he not? Nothing goes on in this world. Nothing goes on in the nether world. Nothing goes on in outer space, even in Star Trek, that the Lord doesn't know about. And now, in case you want to keep the Weather Channel as a channel that you like, Weather Channel now is going to be teaching on evolution. They're going to take you back and show you where you came from. So they should just stick to probably doing the weather and leave the creation of the world alone. So they don't have a clue what they're talking about. But that's where they're headed. That's their next move. Big deal. They're making a big deal out of it. Oh, we're gonna give it to you just like you should. Yeah, sure you are. I'll give it to you just like you should, and you won't like it. A scorner loveth not one that reproveth him. Neither will he go unto the wise. You can kind of follow that back up through the verse there, but I've had to reprove some people a couple times, and they don't like it. They don't like it, especially a scorner. Sometimes I've had to set somebody aside and say, well, do you really know what's going on? Well, then why don't you be quiet? If you don't really know what's going on, why are you talking so much? And I preached a sermon here a while ago, and I told you, if it's not your business, keep your nose out of it. That's biblical. Keep your nose out of it if it's not your business. But he said, a scorner loveth not one that reproveth him. And then he says this, neither will he go unto the wise. So if he needs for information, you know what he's not going to do? He's not going to go to somebody who can give it to him. But you know what he is going to do? He's going to go to somebody that will side with him. I see that happen all the time. You know, rather than going and getting what you need, you side with somebody else because it makes you feel good. A merry heart maketh a cheerful countenance. Well, this is a change in subject, isn't it? Did you ever notice that some people are always sour? And you wonder, what in the world's wrong with them? How come everything is wrong? How come nothing's ever right? I used to know somebody that from the time they arrived at the building until the time they left, they never smiled the whole time. I once said to them, is life really that bad? And they went, yes. Okay. I guess you'll just be pucker lips the rest of your life. Life's not really that bad, is it, folks? Oh, there's some hard times in it. Yeah, there's some times you get knocked down, but the Bible says a just man falleth 7 times, but arises. Oh, is it? Oh, you're right. Thank you, Tony. He just told me to slit my throat.